basic nature is peaceful. It's just that we overlay it with upset, dissatisfaction, or something. So today, instead of droning on about peace, which is your natural state, let me talk about your unnatural state of dissatisfaction. And I'd like to start by saying, essentially, just as a warm-up, we might remember that we've had upset in the past. Perhaps you're not upset today, nothing's bothering you. But every upset you've ever had, there was a beginning of it, and then there was having the upset, and then there was the end of it, right? There was a beginning, middle, and end. And so you have weathered many of those events, and so when we're in it, we need to remember that everything has a beginning, middle, and end, and that at some point you will be at the end of that, no matter how upsetting it is at this moment. And that essentially you have survived, you are alive, well, and happy, or nearly so, no matter what has happened to you, right? There was a beginning, a middle, and an end, and now you're here, you're okay. Predominantly, at least, you're okay. So just it's a state of wisdom to realize that you are the survivor of all your experiences and that they only have a temporary duration in your life. So that's the beginning. And so then when we start to ruminate on the past, we're just bringing it back up. We're not, unless we're really delving into it to find the cause of it, we're just ruminating and we're just making it longer. It's like it didn't finish. We've stopped letting it be a beginning, middle, and end, and we've just keep dragging out the end so it can become present in this moment. So that's not so smart. So let's just be aware if we ever get caught doing that, we can stop. And then also, that if you're anticipating the future, that the things around the future that you worry about are just really paying a debt on something that hasn't happened yet. And so we could stop that. So if we are capable of practicing this, I think we'll come into a happier state if we can just be in the present moment. As we do talk to ourselves a lot. Some people say 50,000 thoughts a day. And we don't have control over every one of those. But if we took control over some of them, then we could begin to tell ourselves something that we would like to be experiencing. So for instance, you could say, I'm peaceful, I'm happy, I am safe, I am love, I am patient. You could say those words to yourself. This is something that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the founders of Unity, advocated 100 years ago, essentially that if you will say these words to yourself, then they will begin to affect you and you will begin to feel that way. Think something, your body begins to respond. So as we think, the body begins to learn how to be. And if you say it over and over again, then your body will begin to feel the way you say you are. So you can say, I'm happy, I'm peaceful, I'm loving, I'm patient. Those become your words that you repeat to yourself, and the body begins to notice what you've been thinking and becomes that. But that's not the end of the story. Then the mind, when it feels a body that's peaceful or happy, starts looking for reasons to be peaceful or happy. It starts to make up a story. I must be happy because things are going my way, or something like that, right? I must be happy because I'm not lonely, or I must be happy because everybody thinks I'm wonderful. Name it, whatever it is, it will come up with some story. The mind will begin to try to explain why the body feels this way. And this virtuous cycle happens. So this is the beginning of how we manage our minds, and as we manage our minds, we begin to manage our experience. You can have random experiences happening to you, and you can take a random outcome, or you can become more masterful at it. No one's perfect, but you can become more masterful at managing your body, managing your mind. Now the next thing I'd like to talk about is how we judge the world. Because the world has a lot of our attention, right? What we look out. And we look out and we see upon the world a lot of different things. And one of the things we see most is what we are inside. We tend to see what we are, not what the world is. You've probably heard this before. I don't see the world as it is, I see the world as I am. The way memory works, unbeknownst to us, is every time we tell or remember a story, we change it inadvertently. But the memory changes the essence of being mindful. What's happening to you? What's happening inside? What am I doing? What am I thinking? What am I projecting? And to be humble enough to realize that I don't really know what's going on out there. We are waiting with our listening to see where they are so that we can bracket it and be done with it. Another way to do it is to wait and listen and to really begin to be humble and curious so that we might build connection. And many, many relationships fall apart because at some point we've decided that we can't understand each other and there's something wrong with them. And therefore we need to break this connection. So the real thing here is that you listen for connection. You listen for a way and affirm what they say in such a way that they can, no, maybe you don't agree with them, but you are in essence coming to deepen in your understanding of who and where they're coming from. Another method that might help in our pursuit of peace is essentially meditation. But if we can sit and watch this, then we can begin to become mindful of what's going on inside. So then we become more clear about what we're creating in the world around us by our filters, because that chatter actually is telling you something. It's telling you, this is who I think I am at this moment. This is how I perceive the world at this moment. This is my world. We start out with having a belief that this will work out, a readiness of acceptance that all is well. And we move toward enacting that in life by being peaceful. These are steps of awakening to your true nature on a more consistent basis so that you can live as the Christ.